Hello, Hexicans. Welcome to HEX Stakes Crypto's Babu Show. My name is Abbott, and we're here with Hex Lion to do an awesome show for you guys.
Hello.
How's it going, Patrick?
Also, hello from my side. And I guess without more introduction, we welcome our guest of tonight. His name goes by the name of Johnny Chaos. So, hello, Johnny. How are you doing?
Well, hello, folks. Thanks for having me on.
For sure.
We love to have you on because exactly a lot of things going on. Like yesterday, there was this big whale and staking, and you were one of the influencers in Hex that predicted the share price to spike a lot, right? I didn't know how many % you would say the share would spike, but you were screaming and screaming really, really loud. So we're gonna school you today on why this didn't happen, and gonna make some math on this on the stream here as well. And Patrick is gonna show you exactly how this is gonna be calculated in the future. And hopefully everybody in the chat gonna enjoy this as well.
So,
but before we start, Johnny,
right?
Yeah. Before we start, let us ask you the 3 questions we always ask our guests. When did you come into crypto? When did you find out about crypto in general?
Well, I knew about Bitcoin back when Mt. Gox was a thing. And I had friends that wanted to mine it and wanted to get into it. And I did not see a value proposition for it. I kind of thought it was scammy. I kind of thought it was a Ponzi, and I kind of ignored it, and I ignored it, and I ignored it. And then went up to $2,000 and hit headlines. And I said, well, that was that thing that I could have been like in, and I didn't. It was actually, I was watching an alternative news program, and they came across that Bitcoin was worth $2,000, and I'm like, no way. So, yeah, that's how it came across.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like I lost my background.
All right.
So did you ever?
It looks kind of cool though.
So did you bought Bitcoin at 2000 then, or were you still waiting on the sidelines?
No, I didn't get in until about 3,400, and I survived the 2017 market, and yeah, I sold somewhere in there. I don't even know. I got into the leverage trading stuff, and I lost a lot. So I ended up starting over again. I got back into cryptos with when Hex was surfaced. I was literally done with crypto. And then Richard Hart came out with his new coin, and I had been following him for some time and realizing that he did call the top of the Christmas top, and that all the information that he provided was very accurate. And I'm like, if somebody's going to make a coin, this is going to be the guy. And much like RG, I waited with bated breath for this thing to come out. And just like you guys, I listened to the never-ending 4 weeks story. When's it coming out? 4 weeks. When's it coming out? 4 weeks. So I was in all the chats.
Actually, I did not listen to that story because I came across, I re-found Richard Hart and came across Hex like 10 or 14 days before the first day. So I had like 2 years of content to rewatch in the last like 10 days before the launch day.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I came in.
So Johnny, you already answered my next question. I was about to ask you, when did you find out about Hex? So obviously you found out about Hex in the really early days when it just was like 4 weeks ahead and stuff. So my question would now be, did you FOMO on day one?
I did not. I followed instructions. I did not FOMO. I followed instructions. I wanted to. I have to say I wanted to, but I actually only put point a half an ETH in on day one, and then day two half an ETH, and I just carried that on through.
Awesome. All right. So the last question we always ask our guests is, what is your favorite part of the Hex game theory? What is your favorite feature?
The part where I'm not wrong, I like those parts. So I like the progressive interest system. I like the truth engine. I really like the truth engine because I think the fact that the truth engine incentivizes better behaviors and it reconditions you to think in longer terms. I would say that's probably my favorite aspect.
Johnny, how long did you need to figure out what the benefit might be, like to do a 15-year stake over just a 10-year stake?
That would go back to Firebond's demo that he did on Discourse Syndicate, where he really kind of broke that down. He also broke down like the penalties and that stuff too. And so I'm not sure where that occurred. I think that was probably 6 months into the project. So, or 6 months into the product. I shouldn't say project.
Yeah.
So I think it's about 6 months in.
It's great that we all needed some time to really learn about Hex and get to know why is 15 years staking better than 10 years, even though the bonuses are capped and stuff like this. So even though we are trying out this product, we still made some mistakes. Johnny, one of the mistakes that I did was to stake everything on every single day and use it. Like I have 10 stakes on my birthday coming out. That I could have summed up, and so I made some mistakes there. What are some mistakes that you did in the past?
Yeah, or like what would be how would you stake differently if you could redo it right now?
Yeah,
I challenged Patrick's math. That was one of my mistakes. No, so one of the mistakes I made, which would be thinking short term. Okay. I knew for a fact Hex was going to a penny. There was never a question in my mind whether or not Hex was going to hit a penny. So there's actually an anonymous video that you guys might be able to find that you may recognize somebody's voice talking about it going to a penny, because that's where somebody came from before he decided to put himself in front of the camera. So but we don't have to dig too deep into that. But there was no doubt that it was going to go to a penny. So that was kind of my thought was, look, this thing has to be able to do at least this well. So I did sell some off earlier. And I took some profit earlier, but then I learned that, wait a second, that was dumb, because this thing really is going to do way more than I initially thought it would. But that was my plan going in, was thinking, oh, this is a 1 year, 2 year thing. Usually the typical lifespan of a cryptocurrency is about 2 years. But the deeper you dig into Hex and the more you understand the game theory behind it, the more you understand the fact that this could be permanent, perpetual income for the rest of your life versus just making a quick trade, then you're like, whoa, so I did the shorter stakes. I did take some profit earlier. All of these things now, it's like, if I could go back, I would have just, I had the option to drop an extra $10,000 into Hex, like right at the beginning, right in the beginning weeks. And I didn't do it because, I had to honor that whole, what you could afford to lose. Just because you got it there doesn't mean you got to dump it in. And, I was only I knew it would hit, but I had to hold myself back from it. So I probably would not have held myself back, actually. And I probably wouldn't have a stake coming off any earlier than 5 years. Most businesses take 5 years. So, I mean, really, you got to give the thing a chance. Yeah. I mean, we're in such, it's that whole, like the video that they put together with the orchard. You have to let your trees mature before you start picking off that fruit. Let it grow for you. So it's something different. It's something different. It's something else. And
Yeah, but you also need to see that how much how much hate we were confronted like during Christmas and January over 2019 to 2020. And I mean, I had like the same like you, yeah. So there was also like more money laying around that what I could have turned
Right.
into X, yeah, at that time. But yeah, I'm at least we still did
Oh, we
buy
did
our
all right.
X with the money we could afford to lose, you know. So
Right.
it's it's still better than nothing, you know. And actually, it's still way better than nothing, because like what are those hex you bought in that time worth now, or how much are they up now? Over 100x, no?
Oh, I was one of those people that was talking about the bottom being at 1 sat. So I did a little time on buy desk, and I was actually had orders set at 1 Satoshi and then sells at 2 Satoshis, and I was just sit there playing that all day long, letting the bags build. The only problem is once it took off, it was gone, right? And I would have been more focused on buying and not selling. I wouldn't have played that game for the double up on the money. It just wasn't worth it. It just wasn't worth it. It's like, we look at it now and it's like people are like pushing Bitcoin. It's like, okay, what's it do? A 2x now? We go up to 100? That's a lot of risk, right? There's a lot of downside. There's a lot of falling off the cliff you can do. Why would you want to put your money in something that there's all that fall when like really we're standing on solid ground right here?
I mean, I still think that
Okay,
in
Johnny.
this very full run, we might still get the 2x in Bitcoin, because we haven't seen like this altcoin mania.
Right.
So we have seen it with the NFT stuff. Yes, I agree with Richard, but I still think that we are off from the all-time highs, you know.
Right,
Because
but anybody coming in now, right? What they're hoping for is their $100 becomes $200. So it's
that's
really
true,
not
yeah.
a big proposition
Yeah.
for the new person to come in and buy Bitcoin. I don't think the influencers out there screaming buy Bitcoin are helping anybody, really. I mean, it's maybe they get $200, maybe they get their $100 back, but I mean, it's not like it's some kind of blast off scenario, and they're not earning any interest.
That's
All right,
true,
guys,
yeah.
let us have this boring crypto talk later on when we have our small talk. Let's now go to our main topic, and which is the schooling of Johnny Chaos prediction. Johnny, can you maybe explain what was going on like 2 weeks ago? What were you predicting, and where have you been wrong?
Well, it's kind of interesting because obviously I was thinking the reason why my rationalization where I was wrong was that I believed that the share price would go up as a result of more hex per T share price. However, even though that was my rationalization on why I believed that the share price would go up, it actually has gone up as a result of the price appreciation of hex. So when I was yelling about it, it was $120 a T share. Okay. Which now, if you look at the chart, hey, Patrick, could you pull up the graph hex?
Yes, of course. Just a second. It should. I just need to reload. Yep, here we go. We just bring it up on screen, and then everybody should see it. You see it already?
So you see how the price of hex goes up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And that top line there is the share rate or share price. Okay. So where I was telling everybody to get in, nobody was harmed because we were right at $120 or so. And now you look at the price up top there and you see that nobody was injured in the process of putting on their FOMO pants. We still got where we were supposed to be. We just got there in a different way, and it had nothing to do with the hex per T share. However, Patrick, who does the math, is going to bust this out for you and show you how to determine what impacts the hex price the cost of Hex per T share.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but not like nothing compared to the US dollar. So not like the T-share versus the US dollar chart. So what I'm going to show you right now is how you can calculate yourself if a certain stake will move the share rate up or not. So the share rate, you see it here at graphhex.rocks as well. It's right now at 1.7051. And if you go at gohex.com, you see it like translated into the how much hex you need per to buy yourself one T-share, and this is then 17,051 hex per T-share, which is the same as the 1.70512 share price or share rate. And when we go, I have a small tutorial here, a whiteboard. I made it yesterday in the German stream as well. That's why you see here Berechnung, which just means calculation. And I took the numbers from the whale stake, which ended yesterday. And this whale stake...
Really quick, can you zoom in a little bit more?
Do
you know how this goes?
Like this?
So everybody can actually see it a little bit better. Yeah, I think this looks good.
This looks good. Okay.
So go on.
Yeah. So
what do we see here?
Exactly. Here we see again the numbers from our whale stake. So this whale got himself back in March and April last year. He got nearly 1.4 billion hex, and he started a stake at day 104 for 365 days. So his end stake date was the day 469. So he staked for 1 year and got himself 117,864 T-shares. And for staking that over the big payday, of course, where everybody got a really nice, huge single payout. And so he got 2,278,146,000 out. And if you want to look if a certain stake is moving the share rate up or not, you just need to calculate how much interest this share is getting. And like 1 month before it's coming due, or 2 weeks before it's actually his real end date, you can already do that, because in a small time frame the payout per T-share is not really changing that much. So you, like 2 weeks ago, you just needed to take the 175,000 times like 5.8 or 5.9 hex per T-share, and then times the rest of the days, like 14 days. And so you could also calculate it in the future. But now, like, to calculate it backwards, if you have a look, this stake made 65.93 or 94%. And the share rate is not only, but also moving based on the highest return on investment ever achieved in HEX. And the highest return on the investment ever achieved in HEX, if we go to gohex.com, we see needs to be a 70.51%. Because we started at 1.000 back on the first day, and right now we are at 1.7. So somebody already got 70.51% of return on investment. So the share rate adjusted. And I will go back here again. So what is the the real thing, what does the code really do when you as a user run the end stake function. So at every end stake function, the code just asks a simple question. And the code asks the question, would this user get more T shares if he takes his principal and all his accrued interest, like this number, and stake it for the same amount of time again? And if the answer to that question is no, then the share rate isn't affected, so it just stays the same. But if the answer is yes, then the share rate adjusts itself. So, and here you can also see why the share rate is not only moving based on the highest ever achieved return on investment, because even if somebody stakes for 10 days and let's assume nobody else is ending a longer, older stake within those 10 days, then this guy would still move the share rate up. So I guess I have it in here. Yep. No? So, yeah. So if somebody stakes 100,000 hex for, let's assume he gets 10 T shares and he stakes it for 10 days. And now let's assume that he got 10% return on investment for his 10 days. It's way too much, but just to work with the numbers. So he got 110,000 K back. And if he would now stake 110,000 hex for another 10 days, he would get more T shares. And that's why the share rate needs to move a bit upwards. And if I can even go here, so let's say 100,000 hex for 10 days would give you 5.89 T shares right now. And after 10 days, if the share rate would still be the same and he got 10% of return for 110,000 hex, he gets like nearly half a T share more, and therefore the share rate needs to adjust itself, because nobody will get more T shares for restaking principal plus all the accrued interest for the same amount of time again.
Exactly, and this is why longer always pays better, because of this what Patrick just explained. A long stake always, not always, but a long stake tends to move the share price, but the short stake can always also do it, just as Patrick has explained it here.
And that's why, like, after 5,555 days, the share rate will still increase, because there will still be a short stake or midterm stake, a long stake. So there will still be stakes made where the answer from the code would be, yes, I need to adjust, because otherwise this guy would get more T shares for restaking, including all accrued interest for the same amount of time.
And where I made the mistake was thinking that where I made the mistake was I was thinking that this particular stake was staked from the beginning, and it was actually staked 100 days in. And I didn't confirm that. So that really threw off a bit of my parameters.
Patrick, I would like to do two things, actually. Can you go to the whiteboard really quick and copy and paste the 2 billion number, what he end staked?
Yeah.
And then paste that in go.hex.com just to see how many T-shares he would get. And then the viewer can see he would now get less T-shares by staking for 1 year. And this is the reason why the smart contract did not adjust the share price. So what Patrick is doing is putting the number in that he the whale was end staking, and now he's putting in the number for how much he was staking, 365 days. And now you see he gets like 2,000 t-shirts less, right?
Yes, I have written it down. Where have I have
And that,
written it down
folks,
here.
is how Patrick knew he was right.
So this would be the new number, 173,688. Let's confirm it. Yep. And if we subtract that number from the 175,864, he would get 2,176 T-shares less. So weniger means less. And what I can also show you is how you can find a stake, like where you can, from a stake which is not yours, how you can see how much accrued interest this stake has. And we have one really nice tool in the HEX ecosystem, which is called backuphex.com, which is from one of the I don't get paid money, but I like Hex, and that's why I'm building stuff. So thanks to Kodiak, he just built that. And what you can do here, you just connect with your MetaMask. I'm just making it like new. I just need to look if my MetaMask logged out itself, maybe. Yeah, sure it did. If you don't know that, in the settings in your MetaMask, you can set a limit, like when you want to that the MetaMask is like automatically logging you out. And here you just connect with MetaMask, you go at emulation, and there you can put in every address you want. And this is the whale address the community was talking about in the last days and weeks. And we see it has, again, 6 active stakes. It has total staked 3.1 billion hex, and it has a liquid balance of 1.278 billion hex. So you see the US dollar value in the here as well. And if you scroll down, you see the stake overview, like you're used to see with different tools as well. And now comes the really nice part of backuphex.com. It's this here. So right here, you see the same as you see at go.hex.com, but at go.hex.com, you can only see it with your own addresses. And here you can emulate different addresses and you still see the same. So we see that this guy yesterday made a 1 billion stake for, what is this, 10 years. So 3,650 days, something like that. And what is really interesting is this guy put it less principal than before, because we saw that right here. So his old principal was 1.372 billion hex. And right now his new principal is 1 billion hex. But as he increased his length to 10 years, he now has more T-shares than before. So right now he has 181,000 T-shares, and in his old stake he only had 117,800. 75,000.
So really quick,
so he has about 6,000 T-shares more right now.
It's crazy that he only got 6,000 more by staking 10 years longer. I would thought it would be way more.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it would be way more if he restaked everything, but he only restaked one out of his 2.3 billion. So he restaked 40%.
Of course, I haven't thought about that. But can you scroll up a little bit so we can see his additional stakes? Right here, I have a question from the chat, and that is, Patrick, you had a call last year of the sweet spot being 7 years. What is the new optimal play in addition to 15 years, of course? So what would you say is the best sweet spot to stake?
I mean, the best sweet spot right now, if you're like a Hex beginner, I would recommend doing 3 stakes, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. Because then you have a rhythm like every 5 years. And after 5 years, you can end stake you end stake, and you can restake your principal for 15 years, because you have another stake coming out in 5 years, and you have another stake coming out in 10 years. So the principal you could restake for 15 years, and 5 years after that, your next stake comes out, and there again you can restake the principal for 15 years.
Yeah, I would, if I could go back, I probably wouldn't have anything ending before 5 years.
I mean, if I kind of, it's actually hard to tell, yeah, because I was thinking about my staking ladder a lot, and like I'm used to getting paid once a month, and I liked it that way to have like a monthly payment and a monthly passive income stream. Right now my restaking is only every 6 months, because I don't know what the fees might gonna do in the future, but it looks like, or it seems like, that is all about to change in the near or like midterm future.
All right, but this is also a topic for later on. But do we have something else on the whiteboard, or are we done with the math?
I mean, what we did yesterday as well is we assumed that this stake, like what would happen if this whale stake is gets out 8 billion instead of the 2.3. That would be still there if you want to have a look at that.
Yeah, sure. So there's actually the possibility that this whale could have end staked more if he would stake earlier, if he would got the big payday bonus and things like this. So it is actually a possibility that he would not end stake 2 billion but in our example, if you can show it, it's 8 billion. Let's say, let's make a calculation if he would end stake 8 billion.
Exactly, yeah. And you still do the same. So you take his principal, and then you have a look how much percentage increase is it compared to his end stake or his return. And if you assume a return of 8 billion, then you get 482% of return on investment. And therefore, the share price would need to adjust itself to nearly, it's not perfectly calculated, so nearly 60,000 hex per T-share. Because we can do like the math on that as well. If we go to GoHex.com and we put here 8 billion for 1 year, you see this stake or this guy would get nearly 600,000 T-shares, and you see the effective hex is like 10.4 billion, and if you take those 10.4 billion and divide it by, let's say, 95,500 hex per T-share, you get 174,789. So it would need to be nearly 60,000 T-shares that this guy won't get more T-shares for restaking everything, so principal plus all the accrued interest, for the same amount of time.
All right. And this actually would have been a possibility if he would stake earlier with the big payday bonus and stuff like this. So we just wanted to show you that. And there you, as Johnny saw, the spike would be possible, but it was not because of him, because he just had not such a high return of investment.
Yeah.
So I'm not totally crazy, guys.
No, and yeah, you were not 100% like incorrect or something like that. Yeah, it's just that the share rate, so how much hex you need to get one T share, did not move, but you were correct in the increase of the
Share price and USD
share
value.
price versus the US dollar, right? Because you said, I guess, like some, yeah, 2 weeks
About
ago,
120.
yeah, about here or even here, or yeah, like yeah. What is this? This is 40, 43, yeah, like a month, 6 weeks ago. And then we moved down again to 137.
Yeah, it was about 120. It did drop after I did that video, it dropped down to like 115. I'm like, ooh, look, it's down $5 after I make that video. Go figure. And then now we're at
Yeah.
over $200. So I think it helped. I think it got people's attention where it needs to be. Your attention needs to look at that damn share chart and realize that even when Hex dips, that chart is progressively going up. And it's something that no other crypto has, is that share rate, and it is something new, and we are learning about it as we're going. We're all human. We all do make mistakes. We all do get a little excited sometimes. Sometimes, we get a little pessimistic, but in reality, the chart shows you what the behavior is, and it's there, for everybody to see. You just got to be able to look at it.
Sure. Is there anything else I should, while I have like the stream share on, the screen share on? So.
Well, we can pull up.
I don't have anything in the chat right now.
We can pull up GraphHex.rocks.
Go ahead, Johnny.
To throw that real quick. And as you can see, guys, why I wanted to draw the focus on the T-shares so much is because everybody gets hung up in the price. And you can see, even when Hex is being erratic and it's going up and down and up and down, that share price is pretty damn steady, right? So there was not really a bad time to get your T-shares. There's not going to be a bad time to get your T-shares unless you wait. So it's just, you can see the comparison right there. So don't get so tied up in the Hex price as much as knowing that your shares have value and knowing that those shares are increasing in value the more time that passes.
Yeah, totally correct. That's right. Yeah, and yeah, I guess we were just talking about two different metrics, because I was only talking about the hex per T share, and you were also combining it with the T share rate.
Right. So I didn't know how we were going to get there, but I was right about us getting there. But see, that's the thing, right? So that does tend to happen in bull market scenarios where you're bullish and the things just happen sometimes too. So it's not that it's designed to do this, but you don't really know what's going to happen until it does. I had made a statement earlier. Remember day 300. I was one of those people that was going, everybody buy on day 300. Everybody buy on day 300. Good old Randy comes in and drops 10 Ethereum right then and there. And I'm like, oh God. So he's feeling bad because there was a market match at the end of the process. So he's like, oh, I didn't get as much as I thought I would. It's like, well, how much of that you want me to buy back? Because I'll go ahead and buy it. Now, guys, if you go back and look at day 300, that was a pretty damn good buy. It was the best of the last days of the AA. So it worked out, just fine. If you would have gotten in and dropped some there, you'd be doing just great. But I felt bad at the time. Why? Because it took a little time for it to work out, right? It wasn't quite as good as I thought it was at the time, but it still turned out to be good.
So do you mean like at day 300?
Guys, so we were talking
the day 300.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, day 300 was better than the day before and the day after.
Yep.
Or the days after, actually, yeah.
But it wasn't extreme, right? So it wasn't extreme at the time. But now if you look at it, look at how much those hex are worth. So, people that wouldn't have gotten in, that may have gotten in, it worked out. You know, how often can you be, you know, bullish on something all the damn time and it just do what it's supposed to do? You know?
Yeah, sure.
So
I
guys,
guess
we were
Why don't
talking
cover
about
any
this
other
well, right? So I want to come back to this well, and what is this guy doing? He end staked a lot. He made a lot of return of investment, and now we have seen on Etherscan yesterday that he just staked 1 billion hex for 10 years, right? Yeah,
Yes,
you just brought it up. Perfect.
The rest of that liquid's there.
Did he do anything else yet?
No, he's gonna hold that
no.
liquid to scare us. He's gonna keep that liquid so that people think that it's still gonna dump, so that he can keep that price down and accumulate. I bet you if you chase some of those 5 million buys, those are probably connected back to those wallets. You know, that steady purchasing that's going a little bit under radar. You can check that with Whalebot. You'll see those purchases coming in.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean, but I don't think that those addresses are connected to each other.
No.
Well,
Well, a couple other whales are definitely buying it up. That's for sure.
Some are, yeah. So I guess Silva said that this address is like there are two different addresses interacting with this one.
Yes.
But it not more than that.
Well, there's some new ones too.
So
like if you're a whale, if you're a whale and everybody's watching your address, your best bet is to create a completely new address so that you can acquire without, you know, letting other people know what you're doing. So
yeah, but still I think like the new whale is a new whale, you know, because it would I wouldn't like it that much actually if it's just one.
No, I know, I understand that. Yeah, we don't we don't want him to have more than us.
I mean, it would.
What I would like to talk about is why is he keeping the rest of his hex liquid? Why doesn't he stake? And Bellied Brand here, for example, says holding it liquid keeps the market cap up too. Right? Could you explain why it keeps up the market cap, Patrick?
Yeah, me. Okay, yeah, sure. So every coin which gets staked is out of the circulating supply, and the market cap in cryptocurrencies is always calculated circulating supply times the current price. The only difference is Bitcoin, because in Bitcoin we know that at least 20% of all the supply ever minted is gone, totally gone, never moved since over 10 years. In most cases, people lost their private keys. In other cases, they think that like Satoshi Nakamoto might be dead and that he went from this earth, including his private key or something like that. But yeah, in Bitcoin, it's like all ever minted Bitcoin times the price. But usually in cryptocurrencies, it's just circulating supply plus times the current price. And
yeah, they count all the Bitcoin that ever been minted in the circulating supply, which is a little bit controversial because we do realize that some of that is permanently lost. And that's part of the vanity metric that is market cap. The other thing is, of course, we are penalized because in some cases they don't count all the supply of hex as being circulating supply because they pawn it off as some of that's the OA. So we're just going to half the supply and we're just going to make up some numbers for market cap. So
but it's the same like with Bitcoin, you know, because there you can argue, but some of that is Satoshis.
Right. So really, when it comes down to it, if you're going to play that game, it's all circulating supply times price. That's it. There should not be any gatekeeping or regulating, you know, trying to, you know, state what numbers count and what numbers don't.
Exactly, and that's why only nomics.com is the best source to.
We love nomics.
Well, this whale, I would love him to stake everything he has for 15 years, of course. But on the other hand, if he would do that, our staker class, the payout daily would go down a little bit, right?
A little bit, but not much because, of course, he's already, he doesn't repurchase as
I mean,
much.
we can calculate that. So if he 1,278, if he 1,278, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, if he does much fives, if he would stake the rest of his available hex for the maximum length, he would get another 232,347 hex, 47 T shares. And how much increase would this be? So right now we have T share total pool of 10.7 million. This will increase today to nearly 10.8 again, because at day 568 the whale was still in his stake. On day 469 the whale end staked, and on this day he was still in the pending phase of his new 1 billion stake. So only today at day 470 we will see
The impact of the initial 1 billion.
those 182,000 T-shares getting added to the 10,700,000 which are already there. So we will see like 10.8 something tonight. And if he would stake the rest as well, one day after, or like when the next day starts in Hex, he would increase the T-shares total by another 232,000.
How many hex would we get less per T-shirt then?
Yeah, you can calculate it.
Maybe one. Maybe one hex per T-share less.
So if you want to calculate it, you just just show you the math. I'm not going to do it right now. You just wait the 4 hours and 11
Patrick,
minutes.
not to put any pressure on you here.
You're making him do stream math.
Patrick, not to put any pressure on your math right here, but I just want to inform you that Richard Hart is in the stream and he's watching your math on point. So you better be really correct right now.
Yeah. So as I said, the stake which was made yesterday. So it was made yesterday on the day 469. But on day 469, it was still in his pending phase, because every new stake gets live when the rollover to the next day occurs in Hex. So it's already live today, 470. And you see right here, we don't have the data yet for the day 470, because the day 470 is still 4 hours and 10 minutes into the game. And that's why we see the end stake of the whale in the T-share total chart, like the reducing. And today we will see the increase of the 181,800, and like all the other small stakes who were made yesterday, who are already live today. And we will also see a new higher T-share total than yesterday. And if this guy would stake his 1.3 billion, which he has left, we would see another 232,000 T-shares increase in the T-share total pool, if he would stake it for the maximum time length, or over 10 years.
Well, the big kicker is we could stew on math, but people are going to do what they're going to do, and the numbers will be accounted for, and we'll be able to see it when it happens. I think a lot of this early speculation that we do, we're just kind of spinning our wheels because, we're like at a penny. One of these days we're going to look back on these videos and go, do you remember when we were all upset about stakes when it was a penny and now it's like $10? It's like Why are we so concerned about a penny at this point? But I mean, it's interesting because the design of it is so intricate.
Yeah, and just a last point. You see here, let's switch. I need to switch to English. Sorry, but here Tagesauszahlung gesamt means day payout total, and the day payout total does have more impact on the payout per T-share than the change in the T-share total pool, because when we get more penalties, you see it right here. So here it's like 63 something, 63 something, 63 something, 62 high. So in those days we barely had any penalties, but 3-4 days ago we had some penalties. So like I guess a few
6
million
or
hex.
something.
So the day payout total increased only by 2.5 million if you calculate those two numbers, and so only 2.5 million more, and the same T-share pool, even some T-shares more than the day before, and still it's like 0.2 hex more of a payout for everybody. So you better concentrate on people who are already in hex to FUD them out, to get them to emergency and stake,
Sell.
because
All y'all, sell right now. Go ahead. Emergency thing.
exactly, yeah.
Click the red button, the jolly candy-like button.
Because yeah, that would be the best thing to increase your personal daily payout per T-share.
So I think we got Johnny Chaos schooled really good on why he was wrong in the past, and now he knows exactly how to calculate everything for the future. I think we also talked about this whale a lot right now. So maybe we should just go on to some other hex topics. What else is there to discuss? Richard Hart made a stream yesterday, and this stream was so awesome. He talked about a lot of things. We have encapsulated stakes. We have the Lex Friedman being in his chat, and maybe he's going to talk to Richard soon. So there's a lot going on. Johnny, what is in your mind the best thing that happened yesterday in his stream?
Wow.
Yeah. During you think about that, Johnny, can somebody please cut the screen share for me?
What do you mean by cut?
Yeah, somebody knows. Melo knows what to do.
I don't know.
All
we
right.
don't see screen.
Good, thank you. So, Johnny, what was the best part yesterday?
The best part yesterday. I like the fact that we're going on our own chain. I think that's the best way to do it. It's kind of like
what happened?
As people are mentioning. My green screen's flying. I know. Give me a second. You guys talk. let me pause for a second.
Yes, of course.
Close it in. God.
Yeah. Johnny is gone.
Looks like he's building a tent at his home. So right now I'm writing a message in the chat, and I want to tell everybody you should subscribe to this channel right now, and also click the bell, of course, because next week Patrick and I will have a party stream, and we're just gonna have a lot of fun with you guys in the chat, and maybe talk about what we're doing here on this streams, and what will be done by us in the future, and all that stuff. So it's gonna be hex related, but you can also ask any question you would love to ask.
Exactly, and if you want to be live on stream, so please DM Hex or me, Hex Lion, and then we will share the link to everybody who wants to come on stream as well. So I guess until Johnny is ready to go and to talk about the stream of yesterday, I will just start to talk about it. Actually, as Richard started like pretty late last night in our time zone, I wasn't able to watch everything right now, so I only finished like the first 2 hours. But Richard was talking a lot about that the Ethereum network, as it goes on, is starting to suck again, and that he wants to unsuck it, basically, and that he wants to improve the whole thing, like, again, and that he's thinking about forking the Ethereum chain and make the own hex, or his own hex side chain, because all the properties we need for that are already there. There is not a known security issue for proof of stake coins, which are on the Ethereum network, besides Ethereum Classic, but Ethereum Classic is a proof of work cryptocurrency, and they did not change their algorithm of their proof of work. And as they are having like a lot less hash, people from other chains came together and attacked Ethereum Classic. But as I said, no other proof of stake currency made on Ethereum was had ever a security issue, and it only works, or it works with so-called nodes, and those individual nodes are writing down the transactions and validating the blocks. And when you look at the Matic network, they have like 88 validators. There are some other networks with even less validators. If you look at the liquidity on Uniswap version 2, you see as well some hundreds of different hex addresses or ETH addresses who are offering liquidity there. So I guess there is already a market for people who want to run a full node on the Hex blockchain, for example, because why should they provide liquidity right now? Because they know that the hex price is going up, so they are losing their hex bag a bit. Instead, they could only stake their coins. They don't do it, that everybody has enough liquidity to get out and get in. So I guess there is already enough demand from people within the hex ecosystem to move towards our own chain. How do you see? How do you see that, Johnny?
I like this. Let's unsuck Ethereum.
Yeah.
Unsuck Ethereum. It sucks. The gas fees suck.
Especially the onboarding. Like Richard said as well. It's hard to onboard if the first click you do is costing you a small fee to transact your US dollars or euros into Ethereum. Okay, you always have that. That's okay, yeah, because it's legacy finance versus cryptocurrencies. But then on the next click, you pay even more to swap this Ethereum into Hex, and on the
you're
next
paying 3 cents a hex anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone's so the people selling their penny hex, and people are paying 3 cents a hex now anyway. Wait until the gas fees are gone. You think we're not going to pump? They're paying for it right now with those humongous gas fees tacked on top. You buy $100 worth of hex, it's going to cost you $90 in gas fees. So it's not like people aren't willing to pay for it. It's just the gas fees are definitely slowing the progress down. You'd like to have more of your, you like to have more of a bag at the end of that tunnel that you got to go through and pay all the trolls, right? So
of course,
Ethereum's gotten to the point.
Each and every day, the Hexican community is paying like $10,000 to $15,000 only to the Ethereum miners, and I mean there is potential to pay our hex miners, or our hex validators, our hex full nodes, yeah. So it's
right. Why
it's
shouldn't the Hexicans make the profit from it? Is what Richard's saying. So, for people that are concerned about it, just imagine if all of a sudden overnight we owned Matic. Say Hex bought Matic, and that was us. Okay, and then say that we could actually stake on that layer. That's what you're going to be looking at when Richard actually is able to put through what he's looking to put through. So, for those who are concerned, don't be, because he has more of an incentive to make this work than anybody else does, and he is highly motivated. Why? because
Because
just
he
look
wants
at
to
him.
unstuck
He's
Ethereum.
sick of this crap. He's like, look, tired of the roadblocks. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of that. He is motivated, and
Yeah.
when he's motivated like that, things get done. I don't trust that ETH 2.0 is coming out anytime soon. It could be 2-3 years out. They're like, oh, we're coming out with ETH 2.0. Well,
Actually,
you know what? Cardano's been promising the same stuff for 5
2 to 3
years.
years out. Yeah. So until like all ETH 2.0 is done and complete and working and fine and bug free, it will be years from now. Yeah, definitely.
And
So
that's
let me do some trolling here. Richard Hart said he will fork Ethereum and it will be done in exactly 6 months. That was his statement, right?
no
Really?
never ending 4 weeks.
Yeah.
That's what we get. And it was 4 weeks joke is the best thing ever because Stefan Firebun continued that out. We'd ask him, okay, when's staker? 4 weeks. 4 weeks. 4 weeks. It just, that's like the time frame of anything in Hex. It's 4 weeks, just another 4 weeks.
Well, the thing is with Richard Hart, he chose Ethereum to launch Hex on because back then it was the best blockchain we had. The gas fees were really, really cheap. But now Ethereum starts sucking, and he doesn't want to wait for 2 or 3 years for the fees to go down again. So he's gonna do it himself, and I think that is awesome. And I love to have a thought leader like Richard being in Hex and just promoting it.
Initially, it just comes down to the fact that building your own blockchain is hard. He picked the best thing available to put us on at that point in time. And, to develop everything and all the infrastructure and everything that Ethereum has would have been very difficult to do initially. But what's nice is, like, for instance, we got all the benefits of Ethereum up until this point, which were being able to utilize the DEXs when they were first introduced, to be able to utilize the wallet that already existed, the MetaMask, to have all that compatibility with all these other things. So where people talk about why don't we drop to this or drop to that, well, you lose all that interoperability with things like the second layer solutions, the Uniswap, the MetaMask wallet.
Yeah.
So forking Ethereum is basically dropping a new set of roads on top, so you don't lose the infrastructure that's underneath, but you're able to build on it and build more. So we can, in essence, have our own wallet, our own version of Uniswap, our own version of everything. So it's kind of expanding the city that already is Hex, so this is definitely not a negative thing. You're able to keep those externalities plus add to it. So
I mean, I don't know what I should think about, like, if will MetaMask for sure allow this, or
I don't think they
will
get a
it be
choice because
MetaMask
it's
like
an
the new
initial net.
gatekeeper of Hex afterwards?
Yeah, because that's the kicker, right? So if it's a fork of ETH, they don't get a choice. Okay. If he were to make his own coin, that had nothing to do with Ethereum, then you have the compatibility issues. So that's why you don't just create your own coin on your own blockchain. You have to use that already built infrastructure so that you have the connections to those other things. Just like Matic isn't on Ethereum, you have to have a bridge to go from the Ethereum to the Matic network. And that's where that's costly, is crossing that troll bridge. You got to pay the trolls to get across the bridge. And with what is happening with Ethereum, with the rates going up and what they're passing now, is going to make it more expensive on codes like Hex that do computive problem
the computation, the calculations from the end stake calculation, for example.
So what inspired this was he was watching very closely to what they're doing with ETH, and he saw that 4 to 6x gas fee increase on what we're already paying, which is outrageous. And he said, "Oh, hell no."
Yeah. Yeah, with their Berlin update, and actually this IP 1559 is also not really a reduction of fees, only like that you can predict the fees in advance a bit better. So there
Their
aren't.
solution is to outprice it. Their solution is to outprice it so it becomes unusable. And that's the same thing with the gas fees. The gas fees go up to the point where people refuse to use it. People get to the point where they go, I'm not paying for that.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's no
what
reason.
what you explained before, like to move on a different blockchain, I see it like Hex might move to its own blockchain within the next 4 weeks.
Well, I'd like to see it 6 weeks, but you know,
yeah, I would say like it will take at least the whole year until it's done. If it's earlier, I'm really surprised, but
I'd
guess
reach out. I'd say it'd probably be about a year. So if you're staked out for a year, solutions are coming. Me and Kinetics went rounds earlier today because he was like, it's going to take more than 2 developers to fork ETH. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, really? Okay. So Firebun and Steph made Staker. Do you think forking is that big of an issue? Forking is not that big of an issue.
Staker is not a fork. Sorry, but it's not a fork. What I know, it's just a different contract, and their contract, which is made by Gnosis Safe or Gnosis Safe Wallet, their contract like holds your stakes in your behalf. So still only you have access to it. It's immutable and not changeable code, but it's still just a contract on the layer 1 network. It's not a fork of ETH like
they've got development.
Yeah. But actually, to fork ETH can't be like that big of a deal. Yeah, if BNB got it, if TRX got it, if what else? EOS got that right, and none of those 3 coins were ever hacked. You know, so they had their price fluctuations. Of course, it's a speculative market. No expectations on the price.
Anybody can fork Ethereum. Anybody can fork Ethereum onto a test net. Okay, it's the matter of doing the research and problem solving and troubleshooting and all that stuff that takes the time. It's not just making the new coin. You know, if we were a basic ERC20 token, you can make a basic ERC20 token with like 4 or 5 lines of code. Okay, and that's what people don't get when they're like, Hex is an ERC20 token. No, look, we are 3,000 lines of code. Why is it so damn complex if we're just an ERC20 token? Okay, so there was one main developer for Hex. He had several, but they didn't use their code. But the design of Hex in itself was, you know, mostly on this legendary dude, right? So I imagine he's worked with Richard once. He's probably going to work with Richard again. And I'm going to say that I don't think some of this stuff is as far off as we think that it's going to be, because I think we do have some of the best developers in the space. And Steph and Firebun are also.
I also think so. Yeah, I also think so. They are great. They're really great.
And we've got Kyle.
When it comes to the encapsulated stakes, once we are on our own blockchain, I guess it's even easier to encapsulate a certain stake, and then with an easy bridge to a different blockchain, like you have this POS bridge on the Matic network or something like that. Maybe it's also easy to build other bridges to have access to other blockchains, and on those other blockchains we can just say, look guys, we have a product here where you can maybe extend your user base. It's encapsulated HEX Stakes, and you can trade the shares within this encapsulated stake.
I think
Richard Hart was talking about this as well, right? Like yesterday, he said another blockchain could get Hex just so they get some adoption, because they wouldn't have any adoption anyways.
Yep.
He rubs people a little bit wrong with that. He's right though. There are a lot of ghost chains, but I think maybe we need to say, hey, do you want somebody to, you know, I don't know that saying, hey, you want somebody to actually use your chain? Why don't you put something useful on it? Here we are.
We will figure out the best marketing. We will figure out the best marketing for that.
Yeah, we know you guys are over there doing nothing. Do you want something that people actually are doing stuff on, or do you guys want to just sit over there in the corner and be wallflowers? Yeah, I don't know that's the best marketing, but
yeah,
it's accurate.
as a Hexican, we need to think about more and new stuff because we are staked for 15 years. Otherwise, we would get bored.
Now, the grayscale thing, I thought that was kind of clever. It's like, hey guys, you want to get on this? Because if you don't want to get on this, that's fine. I'm going to do it myself.
Yeah.
I love that, because it's the truth, right? And that's kind of how Hex has always been, right? You guys want to roadblock us? That's fine. We'll go somewhere else. Do we need your centralized exchanges? No. We've got all these dexes to work with. We don't even need centralized exchanges anymore. They become obsolete. To the average Hexican, centralized exchanges are obsolete other than for an onboard ramp. If there is a situation, like for instance, an OC, an over-the-counter scenario, then we don't even really need the on and off ramps there either, because you have an over-the-counter method. So really, Hex is working very diligently to eliminate the middleman, right? And I feel much more confident in a Richard Rand grayscale than I do a grayscale, honestly, because that's where my confidence is.
Once we are on our own hex chain, is it easier to make a fiat to hex direct on ramp or not?
We will have that within 2 years. We will have that within 2 years. There's like certain legalities that have to be done. You have to be up for X amount of time. You have to meet certain requirements and stuff. But right now, lawyers are getting very rich because that is in process of being figured out. So it's not a if, or if we're going to make some promises. It's like it's happening, but these things take time.
So for everybody who is like staked for the average staking length, these guys might have an easy opportunity to take some of their hex back into fiat in a single way without any coin or step in between.
Yeah. Without having you can sell you should be able to, that's part of the encapsulated share scenario too.
No, I'm just talking about a fiat to hex to fiat direct on ramp.
Yeah. I can't really speak on it. Because again, the more I talk, the more options I have of possibly being wrong.
I mean, we need some content for further streams, So.
We need John to be wrong some more so he can entertain.
Yeah.
The less you say, the less options you have to be wrong.
So at least
I am not on the development team.
Months, at least every 6 months you need to be wrong at a certain thing, because every 6 months it would be nice to have talk like
I've been running pretty damn good. And it still works out for me.
Yeah. Alan, anything else from your side?
Well, somehow it is always good to FOMO in Hex. Well, the FOMO guys from day one, they are up big time. The people that FOMOed because of Johnny Cash 2 weeks ago, they are up big time now. So because of the share price,
John of Chaos,
always because of the share price always rising, it's always good to invest in Hex today and stake as well today. So this was my thought on this whole topic we had here today. Other than that, I don't see anything, any question on the chat. So everybody in the chat right now, if you have anything you want to ask Patrick or Johnny or even myself, just type it into the chat right now. And what else did we have on the Richard Hart stream yesterday? What would be another advantage of being an own grayscale? So somebody else who doesn't want to install a MetaMask wallet, who doesn't want to lock for 15 years, could buy shares of this HEX grayscale. Did I understand that correct?
Yeah.
Yes, it would also be
what
movement onto another blockchain. So on the HEX blockchain or like on the core HEX system, you make the stake maybe over a certain contract. I don't know exactly like the tech behind it, but then the stake becomes encapsulated, and those shares within this encapsulated stake you can trade out, like put it to a different blockchain and give it their users, or put it on a legacy market and do something like grayscale out of it, so that you can say, okay, look, this stake has, I don't know, 1,000 T shares, and as investor you can also buy yourself one of these T shares, and here you have
These are not derivatives.
per T-shirt. That's the price you need to pay.
Yeah, these are not derivatives. This is something important for people to understand. This is not a derivative sort of market. These will be actually HEX T shares, not like a paper copy of a paper copy of a paper copy. So what this strategy is with the encapsulated stakes is basically like you want your product is in many stores as possible. Okay, so you want your product in Walmart and Target and Myers and whatever, you want in all these different areas. So all these different exchanges, or all these different coins, these chains become different stores. So you're able to market your product on these other platforms. Okay, so what that does is that spreads out and actually creates more scarcity, because now it's spread out amongst all these different platforms. So it's actually really beneficial. So I don't see this as being a problem. I know it freaks people out because they start thinking derivatives. I hate derivatives. I hate paper copies of paper things, but this is actually something a little bit different. It's basically getting your product in front of more people at different stores.
That's right. Yeah. Alan, do you understand the question from Matti in the chat? Because actually I don't understand it really.
Well, I read the question as well. What I get out of this question is, let me read it quickly. So, who do you think Richard Hart wants to be in the room with without saying it, indicating that the person asking the question inspired him, business or pleasure or whatever? So, I think, saw the stream yesterday, Richard doesn't want to be in a room with somebody who is as big and as rich as him, because then Richard would have to be really nice. So I think this Dan Bilzerian guy, he is rich and he's also really big. So maybe Richard doesn't want to be in a room with Dan Bilzerian. But other than that, I can't figure out any other guy who would Richard would be afraid of.
Dan Pena was like in the speak, and I guess because this would be a nice interview, like with Richard or like Joe Rogan or Dan Pena. Also, like an interview with the London Real guy would be really nice. How is he called? Ron? No, I don't know actually.
Well, the question was who would Richard be afraid of? So I think this London. London Real guy Richard would.
I don't think Richard's afraid of anybody.
yeah, me neither. Yeah.
Are we talking about the same Richard here? Who's he afraid of? I don't.
And anyhow, I would love to see Richard and Lex Friedman having a chat, not just about Hex, but about any other topic as well. I think that would be awesome. I love Lex Friedman's podcast, and he has like 1 million subscribers on YouTube, and who knows how many people watch his podcast, right? So I think that could be a really good outreach for Hex there.
We definitely.
What do you guys think?
Outside of the crypto space, that's where we need eyes. We need to, the over-the-counter thing is excellent for bringing new people in that are no coiners, because all they have to do is, hey, here's your desk, go pay your money, okay, you're in. That's it. You don't have to worry about all the stuff that we worry about, and that is, that lets people get inclusive without necessarily being involved. And let's face it, Hexicans are more involved than just about any other community. We're into the game theory, we're into the math, we're into every aspect of everything. And it's time consuming. Not the average person just wants to, wants a product like Hex to set it and forget it. But even though Hex is a set it and forget it product, look at us. What are we doing right now? Are we forgetting it? No, we're dwelling. We're dwelling a lot. And it's a penny.
Yeah, but actually,
And it's only a penny.
how do we go on with the onboarding, like in the next year, in the next 2 years? Because we know right now what Richard's plans are. We know right now that there is a really high possibility that in 5 years, in 10 years, so for all your long-term stakes, you won't need a lot of fees in form of Ethereum to end stake it, because if Richard takes Hex to its own blockchain, he also takes all the existing stakes on the new Hex blockchain. So it is a solution for every existing and every future staker. So should we go on right now and say, look, right now every click costs you a bunch of dollars, but in a few years it won't cost you that. But if you wait a few years, you will be forced to buy at a way higher price. I mean, should we do that kind of expectation right now, or how would you go on with the onboarding?
Well, I think at the moment, we're coming to a point, okay, where Richard's throwing his hands up in the air and said, y'all want to be expensive? Fine, we'll do our own thing. He's not going to be the only one. I don't think that this sort of scenario, if they don't address the problems on ETH, it becomes a dead product. People will stop paying. People will look for cheaper alternatives, and people, they're going to jump ship. They're going to jump ship in Exodus.
Right before you described how hard it is to make your own blockchain from the get-go. So it might still be like the get-go platform to launch new projects in the first place,
Well, you can launch those projects on Matic. You can launch those projects on Tron. You can launch those there are alternatives, okay? Let's face it, most of the stuff that launches, it's 5-line code, and they don't give a shit about security. They give a shit on the quick cash, okay? So the stuff that is using Ethereum that shouldn't even be on the chain and congesting the chain, when stuff starts to fail, it starts to fail exponentially. So I just don't see this continuing. I don't see it continuing that long. I think there's going to be a mass exodus where people just say, look, I'm not paying this. Because, right now you can go, if you understand Matic and Layer 2, and I don't really want to get into it too much because it's kind of, it's more steps. So trying to onboard somebody through the more steps is even more difficult. But if you wanted to acquire on the Matic network without staking, just go acquire your Hex right now. You can go on, buy with your credit card on Transact, buy your Matic, take your Matic, sell it for Hex for almost no fee. It's like $7 to buy into Matic with Transact with your credit card, $7. And then you buy your Hex, and it's like a fraction of a penny to make that transaction from your Matic to your Hex.
Exactly. So if you're a viewer from Europe, you can do the same thing using a special layer 2 link from ramp.network, but it's only working for the European guys and for non-US basically. And it's the.
So in the US, I'm using Matic. They did shut my credit card off because they didn't like me spending money on crypto. But you can use, and I got to call them, flip back on. But but you can use the Matic network, and you just go the Transact, and it was $7 to buy $500 worth of Matic.
Of crypto, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then the Matic is bought, and it's already on Layer 2 because you change your network. You don't buy it on Ethereum; you buy it on the Matic network.
You can go directly to quickswap.exchange, and then you can swap those Matic for Hex.
And then you can store that. Don't do anything with it. Don't stake it. Don't move it. Just hold it. And then when the gas fees go down, then you can move it over and stake it. And since the rate per share or Hex per share, since the rate didn't go up like I thought it would, you got plenty of time to stake.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the only thing is the hex price. So I don't know what would you like to look at the hex price a bit, or?
Sure, we can pull up the hex
Yeah,
price.
sure. It's always fun if you show us the
Okay.
price.
Then please let's pull up the price chart. Do you see it already?
Is we pumping?
Yep.
Yeah, so I have the 4 hours chart. What you can see here is like the beginning of February, so the last 1.5 months. What I know, Johnny started to talk about the thing right in this area, and shortly after, it dipped down to 0.7. So everybody who listened to Johnny was pretty much always able to acquire hex below 1 cent. And right now we went up over 120 today, and right now we are down to 112. So 1 cent and 12. I don't know, like a couple cents.
I can't believe we're still hanging around at a penny. It's just amazing. There's all these externalities that are keeping us down. It's the damn onboarding because of the damn ETH fees. It's the gatekeeping that we got going on. People just don't realize
how good hex really is. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's but actually it's all opportunity, I would say. So until the more people are realizing it, until that time, us like old stakers will get a nice payout per t-share every day, because if a lot of new people join the system, then the staking ratio is increasing, so it's like below 10% right now, and if it goes up to over 10%, maybe 20%, so 20% would mean a 50% decrease in the daily payout per t-share for everybody. So sure, we need to concentrate more on onboarding, but it's also not bad for everybody who is already in hex. Yeah, and if I can also show you the historical chart. Maybe you like that even more. You go to uniswap.hex.vision, and then you switch from version 2 Uniswap to version 1 Uniswap. So I have it right here. You see it, Uniswap version 1. And here you can see the whole history. I will go back maybe 2 weeks. Weeks is good, I guess.
So where's this supposed to fail again? I mean, I'm still trying to look. Where are we supposed to fail?
Like the hex price, or what?
It's crazy.
This YouTuber said we were going to fail back here. This YouTuber said we were going to fail back here. This YouTuber sold his bags on our head. This YouTube.
Well, Johnny,
I can do
one German YouTuber.
Hex chart as well, yeah. So this candle right here was a hex YouTuber who sold his hex bag on his followers. Those two black candles were also former Hexicans who wanted to make their own project, so no product, the project, and therefore they sold a lot of their own hex. And yeah, this one was probably, I guess it was usual market dynamics, because what was that? Yeah, it after end of July, so in August we had this this DeFi coin rally, and yeah, Hex wasn't participating in this rally. This down movement was because of the stock splitting, because the so-called big payday. So on this day, everybody who was still staked got a really nice increase. And yes, so like the last down moves were only because of old people taking out their gains, basically, because you see, like, everybody who was invested in this part here is still in huge positive territory. So
And we're present. Hi.
Exactly, yeah. And you see it here on Uniswap version 2 as well. So there is this volume, what you can see right here is real volume. So it's real sells and real buys. Only like a few percent of that volume is because of bot trading, but most of it is true trading volume, not like on the centralized exchanges where
Where they have
the
trading bots
exchange
with no fees.
itself is just like yeah, buy $1,000, sell $1,000, buy $1,000, sell $1,000, and they do it like all over the day, and then they can show yeah, we have a billion volume.
And
in
it's very
24 hours.
important that you know that Nomics is working very diligently to try to counteract the fake volume and account
Yeah.
for that. And
Yeah.
Hex has a rank A transparency.
Cool.
Nomics.com.
Cool. I didn't know that. Nice. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, because it is only or nearly all transparent trading. Of course, there are some bots on the Ethereum blockchain, arbitrage bots, for example, but all the rest, it's just real people who are selling their hex or buying hex.
It's the most organic you can get.
It's the
That's
most
the
organic you can get. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, what do you think will the hex price do in the next time?
It depends on when that next whale that goes, oh my gosh, this really does what I think it does. And then we ain't going back no more.
You mean we could see like some like that candle? Should we measure like only that one weekly
Patrick,
candle here?
I've been waiting for that to reoccur, watching it coil this whole time, going, oh my god, I can't believe
So
it's
as you
going to
can see,
happen.
like
It's inevitable.
only in a single week, the hex price can 3x.
In a single day, we can 3x. It
I
doesn't
mean,
take that much economic
in
movement.
a single day, I guess it's a bit hard because I guess if the hex price will double in a single day, then there would be some old guys coming in and selling some of their hex back.
Well, there's
But
there's
how
always
great
going to be
is
small
it
pressure down.
that
Yeah.
how great is it that we gonna see $7 hex one day? I think it's inevitable because of this wave, for example, yesterday putting 10 million for 10 years. Nothing like this has ever happened in the history of the world. Nobody was ever able to stake something for that long, and for sure do not take it out of the market. And we saw that in the past. We just saw it yesterday, and I think we will saw it in the future as well, see it in the future as well, that people will just stake up their hex for 10, 15 years, and that's just stabilizes the price. And someday we will get my $7. I tell you guys.
Oh yeah, eventually.
Yeah, but
I don't mean win, Alan, but yeah.
I disagree on the stabilize. I guess the hex price will not stabilize in the next 20 years.
No, yeah, I don't. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Patrick on that. I don't think we're gonna become a stable coin.
Yeah, I don't mean stabilized like being a stable price. It will also always be volatile, obviously. But I mean, do we gonna see? We just talked about yesterday. Do we gonna see 0.8 cents like in the next couple of weeks? Maybe when we hit $1, do we gonna see 1 cent hex again? So we come to places where we will never see a bottom again. That's
Right.
what I mean with steady price up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we could. Yeah.
Like we won't see half a cent again.
It's Richard's. Yeah, we're not seeing half a cent. It's gone. It's just like Richard said. He said, crypto can go up more than you think, and it could go down more than you think. And nobody now think about Bitcoin. Bitcoin was 500 days before it did anything. Okay, 500 days. We're not even at 500 days yet, guys. 500 days on Bitcoin before anything happened.
Should we end the screen share or anything else to share?
No, that's the only thing I can think
Well, we
of.
can end the screen share.
Yeah, perfect. Let's do that.
So yeah, Bitcoin did nothing for
people
500
in the chat.
Go on, Edel.
People in the chat are just saying, okay, I would love Richard Hart to interview with Lex Friedman, they'd show out any weird names, but now I see Alex Jones. I think this guy is just a joke, right? I hope this guy is trolling. Wouldn't know why would Alex Jones bring anything really to the table talking to Richard Hart.
No, he's a controversial character and performer, and and he's been removed from YouTube and lost a lot of platforms and stuff due to some actions. But I don't see that as. I think the way to become illegitimate is to go on to Alex Jones shows. If you want to be taken seriously, that's not the show that you go on. You don't go on shows where he's talking about made up sci-fi stuff and lizards living in the government. I mean, it's get some bizarre stuff there.
Johnny, now I have a good. Another question for you. I guess it's a good one. What do you think about sponsoring Twitch gamers in form of HEX or like with HEX?
Like donations and stuff?
I mean, not only donations. So there is also a possibility that one can like really be a sponsor of such a gamer. Yeah. Like, for example, the company Red Bull is sponsoring the new world champion guy of StarCraft 2, yeah?
Well, the kicker is you have to do your research and find out what kind of return that would give to you based on your market. I mean, are the people that watch this particular person watching them because they're if you're watching gaming and you're watching somebody play gaming, are you the kind of person that invests, or what type of personality is the person? I mean, I'm gonna play a game myself. I'm not going to sit for hours and watch somebody play a game. I think there are better ways to spend money. I really think if people are talking about giving away HEX or sponsorships or anything like that, you are better off talking to people that that you care about, and giving them a little bit of HEX so they can experience it for themselves, and then they can take that and pass that on to the next group of people. And yeah, that's slow. That's not like mass platforms, but how much of a return do you actually get from that platform? You end up with streamers like BitBoy who end up making $60,000 and they don't say a word about it until after they cash out, right? So where do you want your money to go? Who do you want to share HEX with? Do you want to share it with just everybody random, or would you rather get people that you care about in first so that they have the better chance for opportunity before you dilute it by going out there and trying to push it more mainstream? So the time we have right now is opportunity. So inevitably, just out of HEX's existence and performance, people are going to figure it out. It's not like HEX is invisible. It's just they're refusing to look. Kind of like when I was talking about Bitcoin, I was uninterested in it till it hit $2,000. And then I woke up and said, okay, my logic was flawed. I didn't see a value here. Now I do. Just like Sailor buying at $40,000 Bitcoin. He didn't want to buy it when it was cheap. Now he wants to buy it. Why? Because all of a sudden you have to update your logic when you hit certain price points. You are better buying HEX and pushing the price up against yourself than giving your HEX away to some influencer to hope that those people are going to buy and push the price up for you. Stakers are the ones that hold the price up. So when we say, look, we're not selling our HEX for less than this price, that becomes the consensus, and that's where it's valued. That's where you create the value. It's not, we've got plenty of tension. We just got to show them that it's legit and that it's real and survives the test of time.
Cool statement. I like that. Ellen, do you see anything else from the chat or something? Or are we good?
Just saw that we are good. We just saw that Big Pep is in the chat as well. Always nice to see. So other HEX creators.
Hey, Pep.
I really like big Pep's streams as well.
I love the fact that he did those. If you guys want to understand the compounding effect and how much you can make in the long term and get out of that short term thinking, watch his streams and look at how he does the spreadsheets. It makes it really clear and concise for anybody to see the long term value proposition of HEX.
Yeah, just one sentence to that. Our model, what we presented at the Hexchange in the beginning of the year at Muddy, showed that if you compare a 10 and a 15-year stake, so 3,640 days compared to 5,555 days, in those 5 years of difference, you double the interest again. Yeah. So what you get in 10 years' time, you get the same again in 5 years more. So just think about it before you do your long stakes. When you can commit to 10 years, maybe you are also able to do a friction or maybe everything, or your choice. Yeah. But just think about it. For 10 years, you might get, I just pull out a number out of my head right now, you might get 8x, but for 15 years, you might end up with 20x return on investment in HEX.
And this is the perfect time to tell everybody who's watching right now, look at all the videos of the Crypto Sparbuch and look exactly for the power of T-share. There we made a HEX conference. In the HEX conference, we made an Excel sheet. No, we made a presentation about why is it so good to stake for 15 years compared to 10 years. It's exactly what Patrick was saying. You make double your outcome by just staking for 5 years longer.
And I wasn't trying to redirect from you guys. That was important. That was a different, a different aspect, and you did prove that the significance and the difference between the 10-year and the 15-year is exponential. It's virtually like double. Yeah. So if you can hold out for those last 5 years, you're going to be doing good. But shh, don't tell them that. Let them buy their shares back at a bigger price.
And that's the thing, or that's the reason why this compounding effect will take place with our long stakes, because over the time it gets harder and harder to buy yourself the same amount of T-shares. And as it gets harder, the total pool of all T-shares is likely to decrease in the long run, and after 2030 it's likely to decrease even faster, because on the 2030 point there are a lot of early end stakes from the first days. So actually at that time we might talk again, because there is a good possibility that we really see a share rate spike in 2030. And that would be the reason that the pool decreases even faster, and you will have a lot of fun after the year 2030.
Oh yeah, when those 10-year stakes come off
on your 5555 stakes.
Yeah, and I got to pick on Mars because he's talking. He goes, "It's not exponential; it's squared. To the power of 2 is an exponent." Mars. To the power of 2 is an exponent. Squared is an exponent.
But the exponential growth is really hard to grasp for some people. It is going really, really slow at the beginning. Then it's like steady rising. And at the end, it's just going parabolic. And this is really hard to understand for people because we are used to think linear, right? It's like we're not used to think exponentially.
Just take Ellen here, for example. Yeah. We did like 1 month of research how we put together our keynote at the Hexchange, and then like a lot of us had like their moments, so that's how this whole stuff is really working.
Well, the kicker is this though, okay? If you think you're going to cheat the system in HEX, you can't. So if you're making a commitment, you have to keep it. Otherwise, you don't get those bonuses. So if you're one of those people that pull out before you're able to mature it, you are basically only cheating yourself, because it doesn't do you any good to say 10 years and then pull out at 5, because you're not getting those extra. You might as well just say 5 in the first place. So, it's kind of difficult, because you don't want to tell the people, look, stake 555, because if they pull out at 7.5 years, they're never going to get those extreme gains that they thought they would. So that's what the
after
truth
7.5 years to just get their principal.
So that's what the truth engine does. It does not let you exploit the system. If you say you're going to do something, you are only getting those extra bonuses as a result of honoring that behavior. If you don't honor that behavior, you just got to be honest with yourself. How long can you wait? Okay? Make the terms that you can honor, and honor the terms that you set, because trying to milk the system for these bonuses, it's never going to occur. You're just going to redistribute that wealth to everybody else who is patient. So it doesn't do you any good to make commitments that you can't keep. And 555 stakes are the best, but it's not for everybody. All right? You have to have that ability to set it, forget it, and leave it the hell alone, and be able to stick with
Actually,
that.
I wouldn't say that it's not for everybody, because everybody can split up their hex, and then make ladder the hex, and especially when we go to our own network, when fees aren't a problem anymore, then I will definitely continue to promote the birthday ladder, because from the launch phase, I really like to promote the birthday ladder, because you don't forget on you that you have birthday today. You don't forget that,
Right.
and so you don't forget that you have a hex stake to end stake. And
Yeah, but your 555 money basically has to be that money that you say, look, I'm paying myself in the future. It's gone. You have to literally say, look, this is money I do not need.
Sure.
And I'm putting it
But
out
actually,
there.
if I put in $1,500 and I put like $100 worth of hex for each and every year, that in my mind, like the last third, like 10 to 15 years, what would be $500 is like gone in my mind. I guess it's okay. Yeah. I mean, we are seeing people who stake several million of US dollar more than 10 years. So at least you know that it is safe to do that. And at least you know that there are big players who already did their research if they will still have access to their money in 10 or 15 years. And otherwise they wouldn't have bought Hex, worth $1 million and then staked that for 15 years. And one of those guys, for example, is our developer Steph, because he made it public in his Twitter post. So I guess I can talk about it as well. He is a developer, and he was playing around with a lot of addresses during the launch phase. So he got a lot of free claims to do when this duct tape Uniswap token came out in September, and he made the tweet. He got like few million of hex, and all this money he staked out for 5555. And he's a developer, and so if there would be anything in the code which is not good or something like that, then he wouldn't have done that. He wouldn't have quit his job.
At Google, his 6-figure job at Google, he quit to work on Hex full time. Think about that. His 6-figure job at a Fortune 500 company, he quit to work on Hex full time.
Yeah. Exactly. So those are the points I want to bring up. Yeah, of course, for you and your own mindset, you need to not think about this money, because it's staked for such a long time, and you won't have access to it before. So please forget it. Yeah. Don't forget it like 100%. So still think that it's there, but
Leave it alone.
forget it in a like making gains way or something like that, because you need to wait for it for more than 15 years. So please think about how much money you can not lose, but you can forget for the next 15.2 years.
Yep.
And with Staker app, I think nobody gonna forget about their stakes anyways. I know a lot of people that are looking on the Staker app like in 1 hour, you know, every hour just to check their stake, check the price and stuff like this. Staker app is such a beautiful app. It's just awesome that we have that already. And Hex is just 1 year old.
And I'm really looking forward when, when you can do all the clicks in Staker app, and every click costs you a cent or not even that, or something like that, you know, a penny.
1 hex.
I mean, when we reach that point, I guess we are talking like full dollars hex price.
Well,
Or
we're just experiencing
after some time after that, at least we are talking full dollars hex price.
Yeah, we're just going through a little bit of growing pains right now, trying to figure out what's going to work, what's going to benefit the product the best, you know. And there are roadblocks along the way. Just like any type of business or business development, there are going to be roadblocks, and you either, you know, pick a new direction or you push people out of the way. You got to do what you got to do to keep it going. And I think we're in a great position. I mean, it's just so early. Nobody that bought Bitcoin for a penny. Nobody that bought Bitcoin for a penny saw $60,000. There's no way you're going to convince me that anybody that bought Bitcoin, there would not be people selling for 10 cents, for 30 cents, for 80 cents. Okay. That's insane. And here we are in Hex.
I mean, I guess I know someone who saw Bitcoin at 1 penny and still has Bitcoin.
How much of it?
But
I mean,
like,
I don't know. You know,
it's one of a million, you know. It's one of the million. The most people they bought Bitcoin when it was really cheap, like let's say at 10 cents, and then they sold it when it was $1, you know, because they made 10x. It was incredible for them. So I love. I always ask our guests about their favorite feature in Hex, and my favorite feature in Hex is that with my staking ladder set up, I cannot mess up anymore because my 15-year stake is set in stone and I cannot mess it up anyhow. All I need to do is just stay alive and make sure I have written down my keywords, you know, those two things.
And don't emergency unstake.
I mean, for us stakers, for the rest of the staker class, you can still emergency unstake if you want to.
You all can hit that red button.
It will hurt your financial situation. So please think about it before. If you want to see the calculations, so the formulas, then you can go on hex.wiki and then like /penalties or something like that, or you see it on the left side of the page, like penalties. And there you see the formulas, or you just enter the stake app and go on the stakes tab, and there you see as well like what you would lose if you would end this stake today.
Hey guys, before big payday, we saw a lot of people emergency end staking just to stake longer. I'm not aware if things like this happen today. Do people still stake in Hex for like 1 year? And then end stake just to restake for 10 years?
Okay, so here's the thing. If you staked before big payday, all right, and you got the big payday bonus, don't emergency unstake because you're going to undo everything. It's you know, you're committed.
Yeah, I know, but if somebody finds out about Hex today, for example.
Okay.
If somebody finds out about Hex today, stakes for 1 year because he's not smart enough, and then have you guys seen people end staking just to restake again? Like in the old days.
I'm still seeing people that are lying to the Truth Engine and saying they're going to commit for 10 years and then they unstake 2 days later. That's the behavior that I see a lot of, and that's what needs to be stopped. If you're short term, you are better off just holding your Hex liquid. I mean, it does no good to make a commitment that you cannot keep. You're not going to outgame the Truth Engine. That's
I
why
mean,
it's
one other strategy is going for the dream account strategy. So you start your first stake at the 10-year mark and take some stakes until the 5555 point. But from your total hex, you from the get-go you keep 20% liquid. If you have a higher volume, you can make short-term stake with those 20%, and if you have a lower volume, you just keep those 20% liquid. And with that, you have a long staker portfolio, and on the same time, you have enough flexibility that if there is a certain point of time where hex went up a couple of 1,000%, and you say, okay, I want to make a nice holiday with my family or something like that, then you have the flexibility of those 20%, which you can sell earlier than the 10-year mark when you're
well, I
first.
mean, everybody's making their own terms, Patrick, but but you know, anyone can make their own terms and set their own parameters.
Exactly, yeah, I'm just
But they got to be
to
honest with
strategies,
themselves.
because most of the people don't have a strategy when they first buy hex. I actually myself, I didn't had a strategy, you know, in the first 60 days.
Well, the kicker is they're not being honest with themselves, right? You know, they're setting themselves up for failure when they're not being honest with themselves. Oh, I'm going to stake for 10 years, and in 2 days later. Okay,
Yeah.
now they have nothing. Now they just paid the stakers, which is great for the stakers, but it's bad for the product because people come in and they're thinking, oh, they're going to make big gains, and then they don't pay attention to what the hell they're doing and just nuke themselves, right? So we don't want people coming in nuking themselves either. So to understand the fact that you are not going to cheat the truth engine, if you make a statement, you got to stick to it. If you don't want to make a commitment, then don't make a commitment. That's optional. There's no use paying the gas fees to stake and screw with the pool that we're already collecting interest off of, only so that you can redistribute it back to the pool anyway when you exit. So there is no gain in trying to outgain the truth engine. And that's what people don't grasp. I still see them do it all the time. They just keep self-nuking. It's like, you know, great for us, bad for them, not so good for the product, because then they go, Richard took my money. No, you dumbass, you unstaked, and you did it to yourself, you know. But go ahead.
Hey guys, I have a big pep saying here. Richard Hart alluded to possibility airdrop for rubbed stakes when the new chain is online. Richard Hart talked about MetaMask, for example, how they should make an airdrop. What do you guys think? How should Hex make an airdrop to all the Hexicans? How should we do it?
We shouldn't do it because it's not working out that great. We already had an airdrop, I guess 5 weeks into the game, something like that. I mean, there was like one airdrop where you needed to like this and comment here and do that, which was distributed earlier as supposed, and still it helped a bit, but not really much. Because like you explained before, Johnny, yeah, it's better to concentrate on the people you like or you know or you care about, and explain them this whole system like pretty well, instead of just
giving it away.
give it away. Yeah.
Well, you could look at Monarch, for instance, and Monarch was an airdrop that you know, over 250,000 wallets got hex in it. And it was like fractional. So we all still got like 64 cents worth of hex on a layer 2 solution. Okay. So it didn't really give anybody a massive amount. It just put hex in people's wallets, and everybody claimed it. But what does that really do for us? You know, I mean, I guess that's the whole, it's in your wallet, therefore you see it. You can't really do anything with it, so it kind of brings top of mind awareness. But I don't know about you guys, but I hate it when I get a little bit of this coin or a little bit of that coin stuffed into my wallet against my will, you know, and I got to be reminded that it's in there and I can't do anything with it, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know
And
that that's
from time to
necessarily a good
time, you
market.
scroll like on the ESA scan through your wallet. Hey, what's that? Ah, okay, that's that shit.
And you can't get rid of it, right? Because there's no market to sell it on, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, Hex you can, but you have to go into the ZK roll-ups.
But Big Pep made
Yeah, go on, Adam.
Big Pep made a good point. He says, hopefully, 1,000 hex per T-shirt. If you would somehow airdrop to the people only who have T-shirts, maybe that would be an incentive for people to stake really long, so they get more hex for their shares, right?
I disagree.
No?
I disagree. Like if you say 1,000 hex per T-share, if somebody has 1,000 T-shares, and I know how much people in Hex have more than 1,000 T-shares, this are a few hundred people, then those few hundred people would get 1 million Hex for free. And everybody of those people who, for example, did not already pulled out the amount of US dollar he once invested into Hex would be not forced but incentivized to sell that.
I got an idea. You add a caveat to it. It's only on T-shares that are staked over 2 years.
Yeah, but then especially it's a huge incentive to sell it, you know?
No, it's a huge incentive to stake at that point.
No,
Because-
it's a huge incentive to sell it because I am already staked, and now I get a lot of hex because I am a long staker. Nice.
Yeah, but when
because
you're, when you're dropping hex on long stakers,
what was
when
the
you dro-
incentive after the Uni airdrop? It was to sell it. Yeah.
or
What
hex,
is the- yeah, I mean, you know, you get my point there, you know. Or what was the incentive of the Bitcoin Cash fork? A lot of people sold their Bitcoin Cash immediately against Bitcoin.
for Bitcoin. But
yeah, of course,
when
for
you're
Bitcoin, we
airdropping
don't
hex
give like
for the
people free
T-shares,
Ethereum that they can sell it to X or something like that. You know?
well, first of all, I don't care about the airdrops. I don't think we need another airdrop. That's my opinion on it. But if there were I would have the stipulation that they'd have to be. It's only shares that are staked out more than 2 years, because that eliminates the short-term players that are dumping on the market regularly and just living off the interest, kind of like miners do. So that is your long-term stakers, and most likely your long-term stakers are just going to add to their stack, because it just doesn't do any good to. I mean, we're all looking for cheaper hex, right? Everybody's still waiting for that dip below a penny again so they can buy up some more. So I don't think it's the same mentality, because the long-term stakers are looking to add to their stack. The short-term players are the ones that are going to be more likely to dump on your heads. People that are holding liquid are going to be more likely to dump on your head. So
I agree with you, but it's still free money what the users are getting. And why shouldn't I take some of this free money from the table?
because most of the Hexicans have
still
taken their free money and reinvested it into Hex.
with risk, if I'm still invested with risk. So I can say it. I put out the money, I put it into Hex like 5 months ago.
But what did you do with your Uni? Did you sell half of it and put half of it into Hex? Did you sell it all? How did you?
I sold like more than 50% from the get-go, but versus Ethereum, because at that time I didn't had any, or not really much Ethereum, and it was already after August, and in August I first saw like what might happen to the fees, and I was already feeling a bit scammed about fees,
So you sold half of it for Ethereum so that you would have fees to pay for your Hex. Okay, and your other half, what did you do with that?
The other half I sold later on, and I sold it for Hex, and yeah, now you can argue if those Hex I sold in 5 months before, or if those Hex are still like staked long term. So it's hard to tell.
But the point is, okay, one, the majority of the behavior of the Hexicans is, if we get an airdrop, we're buying more Hex. That's what we're using that for. Why put it into fiat when the fiat's not making you any interest, when you can put it into HEX and the HEX is making you interest?
Because
Most
you
of us
still
are
have,
looking to
because you
increase
still
our
have
positions.
some risk involved in your HEX portfolio, and you like it to get out those 500 or $1,000 to buy yourself a new cell phone or a good dinner with your wife or
Not if
something
you don't
else.
need it. I mean, the people that are holding millions of HEX, they don't need their damn HEX. I mean, it's for the short-term players that need that monthly stake or whatever. People that are staked for 3-4
right
years,
now you're
we've
saying
forgotten
that
about that money.
if you give it to those people, they don't really need the HEX. So why should we give it for free to those people?
That's valid, but that's the
Because
safest thing
I'm one
to
of
put it in.
those huge stakers and I want to get this free money, or what is the
Well, again, okay, well, why give a million HEX to somebody that comes onto a stream one time that's never experienced HEX when you guys have been running streams regularly with no payments whatsoever? I mean, the life is not, things are not fair. No matter how you try to make things fair, distribute things fair, it's just a matter of the stronger hands versus weaker hands when you're talking about coin distribution. So your stronger hands are the people that just want to build their positions, and those people are most likely the people that are staked longer. So if you're going to do an airdrop on system stake,
yeah, but the airdrop needs to come from one of the strong hands, in my opinion, because where should the airdrop come from? It still needs to be some HEX.
well, we get airdrops daily anyway in HEX, so it really what's one more? It doesn't really matter. That's the kicker. It's like, for instance, all right, ooh, look, there's a uni airdrop. Let's go chase that. Yay! Oh, look, there's quick swap airdrop. Let's go chase that. Some of us don't need to do that at all because we get more HEX than we're getting from the airdrops every month. So it's like a monthly airdrop, right? So if you had a bigger position, instead of chasing all this stuff and spending all the gas fees for doing that, if you just up your position in HEX, you get a larger airdrop and it's guaranteed. It's not a chase. It's not what if they drop me? No, look, you buy your HEX, you're getting a daily airdrop accredited to your account. You don't got to chase anything, So I don't know. There's only one big payday. It's over. It's done with. Get over it. Okay.
Yeah, I would say the same. Yeah, like get over that. Yeah,
You want more HEX, then stake more HEX. Stake it for longer, and you'll get more HEX. That's what it does.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Good. Actually, we are over 2 hours in the interview right now. Is there anything else you want to talk about, Johnny? Or
I think
Do you may have a question for us, guys?
do you have any questions
Johnny,
for us?
do you have a question for Patrick or me?
I didn't really think about that. I want Patrick to come up with a way to demonstrate the payout per T-share per day projections, like a modeling of where we could potentially be as the stakes end, as the inflation occurs. I'd like to see him do some mathematical modeling on that in the future, because I think that would be very interesting, and I don't want to do it.
Maybe I will chat with Wales only about that topic, because the thing is that it's pretty dynamic, the whole system, yeah. And if a small thing changes in the short term, so like
You don't
today
say.
we're barely a bit under 10% staking ratio. So how much HEX compared to the total HEX amount is staked, and if there is just one big whale, not a new whale, it might be even like the OA addresses, or like this huge whale we viewed today. So as we said, if this whale stakes everything he has liquid right now for 555 days, it would increase the total T-share pool of more than 230,000 T-shares. And this impact, which is a little impact on the large scale, has a huge impact if you're doing your projections, because if you're doing your projections based on 10.6 million t-shares, and then all of a sudden it's like 10.9, those few percent difference make a huge difference in the long run, and that's why it's so hard to make this projection. I can calculate your payout for the next 2 weeks, for the next 4 weeks, for the next 8 weeks. It's okay, yeah. For the next 12
How about
weeks,
just kind of a
already...
progression of predictable interest? Just, the supply, a progression of supply, modeling for that. That would be a start, I guess.
Yes, I mean, give me just a small second. I guess I have something to share you here.
Oh, look, it's already done. You see, this guy's got it covered.
Yeah, sure. Because to be able to do that, we to be able to do our Hexchange keynote, we needed to make a lot of assumptions, and I guess you see it right now already. Those assumptions. Yeah, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Then I switch here, and what we did is, you see this total hex column, like the third one here. Here we assumed that the total hex will increase with 3.69% per year. This is kind of correct. So this is not the really accurate number, because we don't know how much the all ever minted hex base is increasing year over year, because you said it correctly today, because of this good accounting thing, yeah, because of the big payday, which is not part of the all ever minted hex right now, yeah, because it's coming out on past stakes. But here this was like the first assumption, which is not the accurate one, because it's too hard to get the accurate one, yeah, for the next 15 years. So here we put 3.69%, and if you have that, if like this base means that base of a daily payout total, then you can say this base means that, and this base means that, and so on. So you get this daily payout total assumption based on the total hex assumption, and then you need to do a completely new set of assumptions to get the share pool total within the next years. And as you can see, we assumed an increase in the short term. Right now we are still at 10.8, so we never achieved those 11, because like 1.5 weeks before the Hexchange we are at 10.9, and then we just wrote 11 here. And we never got those 11 million t-shares in the pool. So maybe for the next year we are already off like 1 million t-share, yeah, if we have only 10.6. And you see it right here as well. So here you have the 5.7 average. Here with the higher share pool total, you have only 5.6 as an average payout. And yeah, over the years, it's harder and harder to maintain the total share pool. That's why, and we implied a faster decrease after the 10-year mark, and you see it right here as well. So after 10 years, 16.6, and then it wraps up really fast for the last few years.
Yeah, so it took us hardly anything to get up into the first year. We got up from less than a hex per day per t-share, and now we're up to almost 6 hex per day.
Yeah, I mean, but that don't calculate that, because it's
because all that supply was being added.
Then a billion hex per day were new all ever minted hex, you know, and the all ever
Not
minted
FOMOing. Listen, hear me out, Patrick. What I'm saying is exactly that. I'm agreeing with you that because the supply came out so quickly, that's why we moved up to such a point. That's why we're kind of still hanging out here, and we're just kind of cruising along right now, right? And people are used to that exponential growth so quick. But then again, once we hit a point, it's going to start going back up again. And while we're watching the grass grow, going, oh, it's not doing that much, that's when it's going to make the move. You know?
I mean, it can be sideways, so especially the payout per T-share for years. It can be sideways for years now, because if we get a bit more demand, then those people who are ending their stake get replaced by themselves or new people coming in and just staking longer to get the same amount of T-shares. So there is a possibility that the payout per T-share stays at around 6 hex per T-share per day for even a few years. Yeah. So it's not like that in the summertime we see 7 and in autumn we see 8 and in the next winter we see 9 hex per T-share. It depends on the dynamics of the system. But if we get a flat line of payout over the years, what we get on the other hand is a price of hex which goes up and up and up, because what it means that the pool maintains its bigness, or how do you call it? It's greatness. No, it's not.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
it. There is so many
there are a
freaking
lot of
aspects in the mathematical code that anybody can get lost in it. You can speculate till your mind is blown, and we're not going to know what occurs till it does occur. We just know how it's built, right? And that's what's fun about that is don't let anybody tell you it's a 5-line code.
Yeah, but what we can do is show the people like this and this and this wheel, depending how it turns, will determine your payout or your interest and so on and so forth.
I'm okay.
Can you make the screen share again?
The same
Can
one?
you make a screen? Yeah, the same of our conference there, and go down a little bit where we made the comparison about the guy who stakes for 15 years.
I would need to search for the whole file. It's just a screenshot I took. This one.
Okay, I thought it was the whole file. Anyways,
leave your link. You can leave your link and tell people to go check out this link. Check out the guy's presentation. They'll show you the difference between the 10-year and the 15-year stake and how much more that could make you.
Exactly.
What I wanted to say is that the guy who stakes for 15 years and makes a lot of hex at the end of his stakes, this is true. Doesn't matter what. You said it would be possible for hex to stay at a daily payout of 6 hex per T-share, but what we showed in this presentation is that at the end of your 15 years, you will make way more hex daily than you make today. And this is true no matter what.
That's true, yeah, because right now it don't takes, or there is not so much new economic energy needed to keep the total T-share pool at the same level. But over time, as the share rate increases a few hex per day, every day, it gets harder and harder to maintain this total T-share pool. So you would need more and more new economic energy to maintain the high. And there is another metric, so another thing which comes into play, which is the daily payout total. So how much million hex gets paid to this whole pool of T-shares, and this number is also going up and up in the long run, in the future, because each and every day old stakes are ending, and when those are ending, new hex gets minted, and the base calculation of the daily payout total is all ever minted hex times a fixed percentage, and on top of that you get the penalties, and that is the daily payout total calculation. And because like this pool gets bigger and this total cheap T-share pool is harder and harder to keep at this high over the time, you will get more and more payout if you have a long stake. So it might not apply to short stakes or to 1 year stakes or to 2 year stakes, but it definitely applies to 5, 10, or extremely applies to 15-year stakes.
Yeah. Patrick, back then you were making monthly stakes for 15 years. Are you still doing that, or are you accumulating a little bit more?
I'm accumulating a little bit more. So right now in this environment, in this surrounding, I went back to only do 1 stake every 6 months.
Every 6 months, okay.
Yeah.
And I'm still doing my birthday ladder. I still stake for 15 years, but always just one time. It's only my birthday, and I accumulate it a little bit, and then I throw it out for 15 years.
So yes, back then on my YouTube channel, like 6 months right now, and then I'm putting out the next stake. The reason behind that is, even if I know that it might be in 2 years we have our own Hex blockchain, I think that the Hex price might do really nice things in the future, and so I don't think that I need to have the flexibility of a monthly income stream in the year 2036 or 2037. So that's why I'm fine with it, that I'm only getting paid in that long future every half a year. I guess until then we all have so much money that we can plan like for the next 6 months at least, you know. Yeah, good, Johnny.
Hi, guys.
Any final words from your side?
Well, I just wanted to say you guys are awesome, and I appreciate you inviting me on your show. I do appreciate what you guys do for the community. You were right, Patrick. I was wrong on the share, on the price per share. I'm okay with admitting that. I just think this is going to be an awesome ride, and I look forward to seeing you guys. And at some point we're going to go have a beer.
For sure. That's for sure. Yeah, I'm really looking forward until we can do meetups and events and so on again, and then it's even easier, to show some people, like that's how you can do it. Yeah, because on the stream I have my onboarding wallet, where there is not much to show, but with my friends and so on, I just come here and show like this and that. That's like you can do it as well, and that's how your portfolio could look like 1 or 2 years in the future as well.
Well, I think this was a great show today, Johnny. Thanks for coming by, and thanks for everybody in the chat. It was a really great chat today. We have the longest stream today, and also I think one of the biggest streams with the most viewers. So thank you everybody for stopping by. Thanks for Richard Hart to coming by and making this shout out on Twitter as well. So you guys don't forget to like and subscribe. And I think we will see you next time. Next week, we have a great stream with Patrick as well. Then we're going to have this party stream. I invite everybody to come on and chat with us there.
Exactly. And this coming Sunday in the evening, American time, I will be on Matty's show. And I guess he will ask me about the hex code and its psychology behind, or I don't know. Let's see what he will come up with. But Matty is really good when it comes to ask the right questions, and with his psychological background. Let's see if he changes my mind or something like that. Yeah, Johnny, anything from
All
your
right,
side?
All right, guys.
Okay, all right. So have a perfect rest of the week, guys. We see us next week or on Sunday. So all the best to all of you out there. And yes, until the next time.
Bye.
Goodbye, guys. Goodbye.